6-1. That was the first set score. A 20-year-old from the Philippines walked onto the hard courts of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships in February 2026, looked across the net at a woman who had played 2 Grand Slam finals in a single summer, and bageled her so completely that the Dubai crowd didn't quite know what they'd just watched. 6-1. Against Jasmine Paolini. And the second set almost didn't matter, because the damage, the real damage, had already been done to everything we thought we understood about where these two careers were heading. Let's rewind. Not to the beginning of the match. To the moment, roughly 45 minutes before it started, when this was supposed to be a comfortable Tuesday night for Paolini. She was the 6th seed, the 2024 Dubai champion returning to a tournament she'd won, ranked inside the top 8 in the world, carrying credentials that included finals at Roland Garros and Wimbledon. She had an Olympic gold medal in doubles from Paris. She was, by any rational measure, the established force in this matchup. Across the net stood a player who, a year earlier, had been ranked outside the top 140 and needed a wild card just to get into Miami. But tennis doesn't care about credentials once the balls are in play. And what happened over the next hour and 40 minutes in Dubai was less an upset and more a surgical demonstration of what happens when a rising player catches a slipping one at precisely the wrong intersection. The opening set was violent in its efficiency. Eala held through the first 3 games without much resistance, and the match felt like it might settle into the kind of competitive, tight affair you'd expect between a top 10 player and a dangerous floater in the 30s. Then Eala broke in the 4th game, and something shifted. Not in the scoreline, in the body language. Paolini's feet, which are normally among the quickest on tour, started arriving late. Her trademark forehand, that heavy topspin shot that jumps off the court and challenges taller opponents at an awkward contact point, kept landing mid-court. Eala pounced on every one, redirecting with her left-handed angles, pulling Paolini wider and wider until the Italian was chasing shadows. Eala broke again in the 6th game to close the set. 6-1. She'd won 86% of her first serve points. She'd outwinnered Paolini 7-2. In a single set against a top 8 player, Eala had produced a serving display that contradicted everything the scouting reports said about her game. Because here's the thing about Alexandra Eala that every analyst knows and most casual fans don't. Her serve is supposed to be her weakness. It has been her weakness for her entire professional career. She routinely clocks first serves below 90 miles per hour in a sport where the average sits around 105. Aryna Sabalenka averages 110. Eala, on many days, serves at a pace that invites the returner to tee off. But in that first set against Paolini, she didn't just serve competently. She served with placement, with disguise, with enough variation to keep the Italian off balance and guessing. It wasn't power. It was geometry. A left-hander's serve swings naturally away from a right-hander's forehand on the deuce side and jams the body on the ad side. Eala exploited both patterns relentlessly. Paolini, at 5'4", depends on reading serve direction early so she can position her compact frame for a clean return. When she can't read it, she's reaching. And when she's reaching, those gorgeous ground strokes lose their foundation. Now, the second set is where this story gets genuinely interesting because Eala almost gave it all back. She broke early, went up a set and a break, and the match looked destined for a quick, clean finish. But Paolini is a 2-time Grand Slam finalist for a reason, and the reason is not talent alone, it's stubbornness. A ferocious, almost irrational refusal to stop competing even when the scoreboard has declared the argument settled. Paolini broke back. Squared the set at 3-all. The crowd started to buzz. The narrative wobbled. Eala broke again. Held for 5-3. Served for the match. And then the wheels started to shake. Paolini saved 3 match points. 3. The first 2 came at 15:40, where Eala's first serves missed and her second serves invited Paolini to attack. The third came at advantage out, where Eala pushed a forehand long under pressure that she would have made at 3-1 in the first set without thinking. Paolini held, then broke Eala in the next game. Suddenly it was 6-5 Paolini, and the entire first set felt like it had happened to a different person. This is the moment where the old Alex Eala, the version from mid-2024, ranked in the 100-and-somethings, prone to collapsing when the pressure spiked, would have crumbled. We've seen it before. She's admitted it herself. The gap between playing brilliant tennis and holding brilliant tennis together for an entire match has been the central project of her development since she arrived at the Rafa Nadal Academy as a 13-year-old kid from Pasig City. But Eala held in the 12th game, forced a tiebreak. And in the tiebreak, something happened that stats can't capture. She slowed down. Not her feet, not her racket speed, her breathing. There's a clip the WTA posted afterward, a changeover at 4-all in the breaker, where Eala is sitting with her towel draped over her knees, eyes closed, lips moving slightly. She told reporters after the match that she was thinking about the stadium being full of Filipinos, and she imagined how many of them were probably praying for her to win. So she decided to give everything she had left, not for the ranking points, not for the career milestone, but for the people who'd stayed up past midnight in Manila to watch on their phones. She won the tiebreak 7-5. Her final shot was a forehand winner up the line, her 24th winner of the match, and when it landed, she let out a scream that bounced off the walls of the Dubai Tennis Stadium. It was not a scream of surprise. It was a scream of arrival. And that's where we need to talk about Jasmine Paolini, because what happened in Dubai wasn't just an Eala story. It was a chapter in a Paolini story that has been quietly unraveling for months. The Italian's 2026 season has been, to put it plainly, a slow-motion stumble. After reaching a career-high ranking of number 4 in 2024 and consolidating her position in the top 10 through a strong 2025 that included a WTA 1000 title in Rome, Paolini entered this year as a presumptive fixture of the elite tier. But the results haven't cooperated. A third-round exit at the Australian Open to Iva Jovic. A second-round loss to Maria Sakkari in Qatar. Then the Eala match in Dubai, which wasn't just a loss, but a public dissection. Things got worse. At Indian Wells, a fourth-round exit. In Miami, gone in the third round. And then Stuttgart, 2 months after Dubai, produced the most painful image of Paolini's season, sitting on her chair during a changeover, tears streaming down her face, as qualifier Zeynep Sönmez, ranked 79 in the world, dismantled her 6-2 in the first round of the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix. The fifth seed, beaten by a qualifier, in a tournament where she'd reached the semi-final the previous year. Her record on the season: 10 wins, 7 losses. There's a temptation in tennis media to pathologize a slump, to find one cause and declare it the explanation. Paolini's serve has always been a work in progress, and her height limits the angle she can generate on it. But Paolini reached 2 Grand Slam finals with that same serve. She won Dubai in 2024 with that same serve. The serve isn't the problem, at least not by itself. What seems to have shifted is the confidence architecture around it, the belief that her footwork and forehand will compensate for whatever free points the serve fails to deliver. When that belief is intact, Paolini is one of the most entertaining and effective players on tour. When it's shaky, she's exposed, because her margin of error is already thinner than most. 5'4" leaves you almost no room for doubt. Now here's where the story converges on Madrid, because both of these players are entered in the 2026 WTA Madrid Open, which starts April 21st. Eala, currently ranked 45, will begin in the round of 128 against Lesia Tsurenko. Paolini, seeded 8th, will enter later in the draw. And the possibility that they could meet again on clay, at altitude, under the pressure of a WTA 1000, hangs over the tournament like a half-asked question. But a rematch is almost beside the point. What Madrid actually tests is something far more specific for each player. For Eala, it tests whether the version of her that demolished Paolini in Dubai, controlled, tactically precise, emotionally resilient, can exist on clay. Because her record on the surface is grim. She's 1-2 on clay in 2026, her only win coming against Julia Grabher at the Linz Open before Jelena Ostapenko caught her in the round of 16. That Ostapenko match was brutal in a particular way. Eala led 5-1 in the second set and lost 6 straight games. Old demons, same address. Then in Stuttgart, Leylah Fernandez handled her 6-1, 6-4 in the first round, controlling rallies with a forehand that pinned Eala to her backhand side for long stretches. Clay changes Eala's equation in ways that are hard to coach around quickly. Her serve, which compensated so beautifully in Dubai, loses pace on the slower surface. Her flat, quick-strike baseline game, built on taking the ball early and robbing opponents of time, gets neutralized by a surface that adds bounce and gives defenders an extra half-second to recover. Her coaches at the Nadal Academy, Joan Bosch and Sandro Villene, have been working with her on adding topspin and increasing net clearance, shifting from the low-trajectory bullets that work on hard courts to the loopier, heavier balls that survive on dirt. But retooling a swing pattern takes time, and Madrid starts in 2 days. The altitude in Madrid complicates things further, though not entirely in the wrong direction. The ball flies faster and bounces higher at 650 meters above sea level, which partially restores the conditions Eala thrives in. Her lefty serve regains some of its bite. The court plays quicker than a sea-level clay event like Roland Garros. If there's a clay tournament anywhere on the calendar where Eala's hard court game translates most naturally, it's probably this one. But most naturally is relative. She's still on clay. She's still adjusting. And the women she'll face, potentially Fernandez again, potentially Swiatek, potentially Paolini, have grown up treating this surface like a second language they've spoken since childhood. For Paolini, Madrid tests something more existential. She needs a result. Not for the ranking, though she's in danger of slipping from 8 to 9 or beyond. She needs it for the story she tells herself about who she is as a player. The tears in Stuttgart weren't about Stuttgart. They were about accumulation. Loss after loss, each one slightly more inexplicable than the last, each one eroding the bedrock of self-belief that carried a 5'4" Italian from anonymity to 2 Grand Slam finals in a single summer. Madrid's altitude actually suits Paolini's game. The faster conditions amplify. Her forehand's topspin, and the thinner air gives her serve marginally more pop. She's reached the quarterfinals here before. The surface isn't hostile to her. But the opponent she's really facing in Madrid is the version of herself that broke down crying at 5-2 down against a qualifier. And let's talk about what the Dubai match actually revealed about the tactical relationship between these two, because if they do meet again, those patterns will resurface. Eala's left-handed angles gave Paolini fits. The wide serve on the deuce side pulled Paolini off the court, and Eala followed it with forehands inside out to the vacated space. On the ad side, the serve jammed Paolini's body, producing weak returns that sat up for Eala to attack. Paolini's counter-actic, absorbing the serve and redirecting with depth, failed because Eala's placement was precise enough to prevent clean contact. The Italian needed Eala's serve to become predictable, and it never did. If this matchup happens on clay, Paolini gains one advantage: time. The slower surface gives her an extra fraction of a second to read the serve direction and set up her return. Whether that fraction is enough to neutralize the angles that torched her in Dubai is the question nobody can answer yet. But here's what makes the Madrid chapter feel different from the Dubai one, and this is the part that excites me as an analyst. In Dubai, Eala was the hunter. She had nothing to lose, no expectations to manage, no ranking points to defend. She walked onto that court as a dangerous floater that Paolini probably respected but didn't fear. That dynamic has shifted. Eala is now the woman who bageled Paolini in a first set. The scouting reports have been updated. The next time Paolini sees Eala across the net, she'll remember what 6-1 felt like, and that memory cuts both ways. It could fuel Paolini's preparation, sharpen her focus, bring out the stubborn competitor who saves 3 match points. Or it could sit in the back of her mind like a low hum of anxiety, a reminder that this 20-year-old from the Philippines can hurt her in ways she hasn't fully solved. Meanwhile, Eala carries a different burden. She proved in Dubai that she could beat a top 8 player. She proved in Miami last year that she could beat the second-ranked player in the world. What she hasn't proven, what the Linz collapse and the Stuttgart loss underline in red ink, is that she can sustain that level across surfaces and across weeks. The question isn't whether Eala can produce magic. She obviously can. The question is whether she can produce consistency. Madrid will provide data. Not an answer. Data. And Paolini's trajectory toward Madrid carries its own weight. A player who cried on court in Stuttgart 4 days ago is walking into another WTA 1000 event where she's expected to perform like a top 8 player. The emotional residue of that Stuttgart afternoon doesn't just evaporate because you cross a border into Spain. It travels with you. It sits in your legs during the first service game. It whispers during the changeovers. The great champions learn to compete alongside that whisper. Paolini has done it before. She reached the French Open final as a player nobody expected to be there, fighting through rounds where the crowd and the occasion should have swallowed her whole. She has the internal architecture for it. But architecture needs maintenance, and this season has been a series of small cracks. So here's where we land. Madrid, April 2026. 2 players entering the same draw with opposite problems. Eala needs to prove that her best tennis isn't surface-dependent. Paolini needs to prove that her worst tennis isn't becoming her new normal. One of them humiliated the other 2 months ago on hard courts, and now the surface has changed, the stakes have shifted, and neither player is arriving in the same emotional condition she was in during February. What happened in Dubai was real. 6-1 in that first set was not a fluke. It was the product of a left-handed game plan executed with ruthless precision against a player whose confidence was already fraying. But Dubai happened on hard courts, indoors, in conditions that maximized every advantage Eala possesses. Madrid strips some of those advantages away and introduces variables: the clay, the altitude, the outdoor wind, the grueling best-of-3 format across a massive draw that could reshape the equation entirely. The truth about tennis is that a single match can rewrite a rivalry or confirm it. Dubai wrote the first chapter. Madrid, if the draw cooperates, might write the second. And neither Eala nor Paolini gets to choose what that chapter says. They only get to show up, compete, and find out whether the version of themselves that walks onto the court is the one capable of handling what comes back across the net. For Eala, that means proving the Dubai performance wasn't an isolated masterpiece. For Paolini, it means proving Stuttgart was the floor, not the new ceiling. Both claims are unresolved. Both players know it. Madrid will not settle the argument permanently, no single tournament ever does, but it will tell us something neither player can hide from. It will tell us who they are right now, in this moment, on this surface, under this pressure. And sometimes that's all a tennis tournament needs to do.